Good morning. Last Friday, March 15, 2024, NAR has announced a settlement to the class action lawsuit brought by the sellers. And boy, things have been crazy all over social media. Seeing things from the sky is falling to the revolution of real estate, and things are always going to be different now. Really, we need to dive in and understand what changes are coming and how this is going to be more of an evolution to the way we do real estate instead of a complete revolution to our way of business. It's also important to note that at the time of this recording, the court has yet to approve the settlement, so things could change. And we got to look back since 1908, NAR has been around, and the way we've done business has changed, ever evolved throughout that time, through different lawsuits, through the way we've come together as a group, and always came out better on the other side. And I believe this is one of those times. So we're going to look at the 5 major changes that are coming that have to be implemented into your business by July. That gives us about 70 to 80 days to really be proactive and understand the changes that are coming to make sure we're being the fiduciary to our clients. So let's dive in. So our first major change that's going to take place here in mid-July is buyer's representation agreements. So agents working with buyers must sign a written buyer's representation agreement with the buyer before the agent can show a home listed on the MLS. So your agents, we're going to have to start acting like the fiduciary, sit down with our clients, explain the process in full transparency, and have an agreement before we ever go show a property. Unless inconsistent with federal or state law, the buyer representation agreement must include at least these things. 1, the agent must disclose the amount or rate of compensation they will receive or how this amount will be determined. 2, the amount of compensation must be set in the agreement, such as a percentage or dollar amount. You cannot have it be open-ended. For example, the agreement cannot say buyer broker's compensation shall be whatever amount the seller is offering to the buyer. You have to have it fully transparent and exact amount that you're going to be making. Number 3, agents cannot receive compensation for brokerage services from any source more than the amount or rate agreed to in the buyer's representation agreement. For example, an agent could not accept an offer of cooperating compensation for more than the amount or rate agreed upon by the buyer's representation agreement. So unfortunately, if you agreed to a 2% commission with the buyer and the seller was offering a 3% compensation to the cooperating agent, you would only be able to take a 2% commission on that and not the full 3%. All right, let's look at the second big change coming. Offers of cooperating compensation cannot be on the MLS. That's right. The amount of compensation normally on the MLS of how much the buyer side would get can no longer be. Agents cannot make offers of cooperating compensation on the MLS. The MLS must eliminate all broker compensation fields on the MLS and prohibit the sharing of offers of cooperating compensation in any other MLS fields. NAR also cannot create or support any non-MLS mechanisms for selling or listing agents to make offers of cooperating compensation to buyers' agents. Sellers can offer concessions to the buyer in public comment field in an MLS listing if the concessions are not conditioned on paying the buyer's agent's commission. However, as part of the negotiation of a purchase contract, sellers and buyers can agree to apply the concessions to the buyer's agent's commission. As a practical matter, even though it cannot be called cooperating compensation, the amount of a seller's concession can match the amount of a seller would offer as cooperating compensation as part of contract negotiation. So what does that mean? A listing agent could put on the MLS that the seller is willing to credit back a certain amount to the buyer, as long as it does not state that is for cooperating broker's commission. During negotiations between a buyer and a seller's agent, they can use that money towards a buyer's commission or a buyer's agent's commission, but it just cannot state in the MLS that it is only used for a cooperating broker's commission. Now there's a little bit more to there, but let's look at number 3 because they kind of tie in all together. So number 3, offers of cooperating compensation can be made off the MLS. Nothing in NAR's settlement prohibits sellers or listing agents from making offers of cooperating compensation to buyer's agents off the MLS. Before listing agents can offer compensation to buyer's agents, they must disclose and obtain seller's approval for any offer in language that stands out and is clearly visible. An MLS cannot require agents to make or accept offers of cooperating compensation as a condition to joining or participating in the MLS. MLS also cannot require that offers of cooperative compensation, if made, be blanket, unconditional, or unilateral. Let's jump into number 4, and we'll talk about the last 3 all together because they all tie in. So number 4, brokers can publish cooperating broker compensation of their own listings on their own websites. Although MLSs are prohibited from publishing cooperating compensation offers, the settlement allows brokers and their agents to publish seller-approved cooperating compensation offers for their own listings, but not other brokers' listings, on their own website. This is super interesting and changes a lot of what we currently do. Currently, if I'm representing a buyer, I could go on the MLS and see what houses are offering what buyer's broker's compensation and what I would be paid for my services for closing that escrow. That's going to change. The MLS is no longer allowed to put anything about buyer's compensation or buyer's broker's compensation on the MLS. But the good thing is listing agents, as long as we have a signed agreement and the seller is aware and is willing to give a buyer's broker's compensation, we can advertise that on our own broker's website. And we could also advertise that on media we could send out to other agents to let them know what we're offering to sell the home. And number 5, agents must make commission disclosures. Agents must disclose in listing agreements, buyer's representation agreements, and pre-closing disclosures that broker commissions are not set by law and are fully negotiable. NAR must require Realtor boards and MLS to include these disclosures in any form agreement they publish. So those are the 5 major changes that are coming. And yes, it's a lot. Yes, it's going to be different. But know this, it is the evolution of real estate. We got to get away from being the functionary that we've kind of been in and make sure that we go back to being the fiduciary that your clients deserve. So pay attention, keep up to date with what's coming out because there'll be a lot of changes over the next few months, but I strongly recommend you get proactive, you get engaged with your clients, you start using that buyer's broker agreement, and do not get reactive when the day it changes and you don't know what's going on. If you have any questions, reach out to your local broker, reach out to your board, and know this, that we will get through this and we will thrive on the other side. Thanks.